Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Billy Watson TV. It gives me great pleasure to have a first time guest on the show. We're here to talk about Scottish sovereignty. I've known this guy for a couple of years. We've not got chatted too much, but we're certainly aware of each other's work. And it's a great pleasure to have him on the show. Bri Crosbie, how are you doing today, Bri?
I'm good, Billy. Thanks for having me on.
That's cool. That's cool. I'm admiring your beard. Before we go any further, you've got to talk about that. I'm going to a few more years before mine gets down to that length. But anyway. Anyway, we're here to talk about Scottish sovereignty, yeah? So this is a passion of yours.
It totally is. It's a passion indeed. I want to write, I've got a wee thing to read out before we start, right? The mystery of Celtic thought has been the despair of generations of philosophers. He who approaches it must, I feel, not alone be of ancient stock, but he must also have heard since childhood a deep and repeated call of ancestral voices urging him to the task of the exploration of the mysteries of his people. He is like a man with a chest of treasure who has lost the key. That's exactly how I feel, right? I found this huge box of treasure, right? And there's enough wealth there for everyone. There's an abundance of wealth in this box of treasure. I can't get it open, right? I can't get. He's all asking me, "Where's the key, Brad? How you found the key?" Well, the key, you're the key. The people are the key, right? So that's why I'm here tonight. I need your help, Billy. I need everybody's help. I need everybody's support to help me, to support me to turn that key. We need to turn the people. Once we turn that key, this box of treasure opens up. And there's an abundance of wealth there for everybody. So imagine how fucking frustrated I am. Know what I mean? There's enough there for everybody. There's another wee bit I'm going to read before we start. Wherever the pilgrim turns his feet, he finds Scotsmen at the forefront of civilization and letters. There are premiers in every colony, professors in every university, teachers, editors, lawyers, engineers and merchants, everything, always at the front. That was by an English writer, Sir William Besant. There's something special about this land. There's something special about these people. And I mean, it gives you goosebumps when you look into it.
You've got them right now, mate.
It really does, man. Honestly, it's goosebumpy as fuck. Seriously. So I'm going to start with how this all started. Then you get too comfy, guys, because this will get you on your feet. Might even get you off your feet. But it all started at a summer solstice party, 2010. Facebook had just kind of arrived, and if you remember back then, there was loads of these kids putting parties on Facebook, and like 6 schools were turning up to the house, like just through a Facebook post. It was pretty mental at the time, and I caught my eye, and I thought, right, I can maybe do something with that. And I always wanted to go to Stonehenge. I've never been. Always wanted to do it. I've been to Glastonbury many times. I've been up the Stone Circle at Glastonbury, watched the sunrise. It's a beautiful experience. And I heard all the Stonehenge stories because all the Stonehenge people are there. So that's what made me think. I made up a Facebook page, Summer Solstice Scotland, and it went mental. It went viral. Because people with Stonehenge even caught on to it, and they were getting fed up with Stonehenge. They'd done it that long, and they'd seen this party in Scotland and thought something new. Like they came up, they brought a whole convoy all the way through England.
Right.
Brought people all the way up, all the way to Newcastle, all the way up to Dumfries and Galloway. And it was an amazing party. I met so many beautiful people. It introduced me to the free party scene. And introduced me to loads of people in the underground music circuit. It was an amazing party. Loads of friends were made. Loads of friendships that still last today. There was a DJ at that party. His name was Raymond Studden. Hope you're watching, Raymond. Keep shining, bro. It was after the party. We'd kept in touch with a lot of people kept in touch, and Raymond was one of them. And he sent me a link to the John Harris. It's an illusion, which opened me up to the fraud of the birth certificate and the legal name and all that kind of stuff. And it just blew my mind. It completely blew my mind wide open. Go and check the John Harris link. It's an illusion on YouTube if you've not checked it. Sorry?
I was into that at the time as well. Actually, met John Harris. I went to see him when he was in Edinburgh doing one of his talks, and he had that website, United People's Community or something like that. That was quite active for a while. And
I involved the Lawful Rebellion group and the British Constitution and stuff.
That's right.
That's what opened me up to all this stuff, and that opened me up to sovereignty. So, sovereignty found me. I never found sovereignty. Sovereignty found me through that Solstice Party. And reflecting back to that Solstice Party, I'm now doing these wee videos on natural law, introducing you to Mark Passio and the natural law seminar. If you've not watched the Mark Passio natural law seminar, you're doing your family an injustice. If you've got kids, you need to be teaching them this stuff. So what started with looking into this constitutional stuff and the lawful rebellion stuff, sovereignty came up, and I started looking into sovereignty, googling it, trying to find whatever I could find on sovereignty. And Mark Passio was one of the only people that came up with any proper information on it, proper information. There was loads of other stuff. The Free Man in the Land movement was prominently England, Canada, and America. That's where everything was coming from. And I always knew Scotland was different. We've got our own law, and it was different up here. And as I say, I'm searching sovereignty through Google search for time, and up came the Scottish sovereigns. Right, I found the Scottish sovereigns, and as soon as I seen Scottish sovereigns, it was like, yeah, fucking dancer. I was like, yes, look at that. And then I logged in, and I found all these beautiful people. It was an amazing experience. We all recognised each other for who we were. We were all each other's leads, each other's kingsmen. We all had each other's back. It was amazing. It was a beautiful community that we had, and we all supported each other. And a lot of them started hammering the courts, properly hammering the courts.
This was the one when they were in the police vans, or the police were arresting them, and guys were battering them back. And I think I had one guy on here that had the famous chat when the police went viral, this video, you know.
That would have been Sean, I think, aye. The Banana Man.
That's right, aye.
Aye. Well, I've lost track there. Where was I?
Just you were saying about the Scottish sovereigns, and basically there was a good community. You were all each other's back.
Aye. They were hammering the courts.
The courts, aye, that's right. Aye.
A lot of these guys at the beginning, they were taking Scots law into the Scots courts, right? Now, Westminster legislation isn't applicable in a Scots court. So these guys were taking this to the sheriff, and it was bamboozling the sheriffs, because they're programmed as well. They're brainwashed as much as everybody else. Yeah. And they didn't get it to begin with. And a lot of the solves would get invited into the judge's quarters for a whiskey to discuss it, because they were interested, They were really interested. And basically the courts couldn't get past us. They couldn't get past the Scots claim of right. They just couldn't get past it. And it was weird. The whole thing was strange, because people didn't get it. It was frustrating to try to explain it to people. So I'd go back to the party scene, the free party scene, and I'd be going into the punk scene and all these different scenes who call themselves anarchists, right? And try to explain this to people, and they're laughing at me, calling me a conspiracy theorist.
Oh God!
You're an anarchist. You know what I mean? How can you be an anarchist but I'm no sovereign?
Where have they all been the past couple of years?
It's like anarchy and sovereignty they're the same thing. It's self-rule, and I just couldn't get my head around that. These anarchists like didn't get me, and they were laughing at me. It was like it was strange, And there was a lot of academics weren't getting it either. Like they were the worst. But anyway, with the John Harris link, that completely blew my mind. And the freemen on the land stuff, and what the freemen on the land people were doing is they were like sending their passports, their driving licenses, and all that back to the Crown, disengaging with the legal fiction, not having anything to do with Babylon whatsoever. And that kind of when that was happening, that was a bit of a red flag for me, to be honest, because I instantly thought like that's instantly putting you on a watch list straight away. That's what I thought, So then I went and
Did you look at Kate of Gaia very much? Because
Nala Scottish Sovereigns. Well, she was on the radio for years. But you lost my track again, Billy. Where was I?
Sorry about that. It was talking about the passports. They were handing the passports back.
That was a red flag, aye. So I seen that as a red flag because you're going to be like blacklisted or whatever, But the Scottish Sovereigns, when I found the Scottish Sovereigns, they came at it for a different level. But before I go into the different level, they came at it. I went to a few lawyers to speak to them about the birth certificate and the legal name fraud, just to make sure that I was right. I wasn't being confused or I wasn't getting any disinfo. And this first lawyer that I went to see, he like as soon as I started talking, he like sat back, relaxed, like I could tell he was interested, and he agreed with everything that I said. He agreed with all it. So I was like, right, I need to stick at this. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This isn't bullshit. He's agreed with me. So I wanted a second opinion. So I went to another lawyer and spoke to her about it, and she was the exact same. Wanted information, wanted links, wanted to know more. And she even said to me, she was like, you know what, Bri? She was like, we're programmed as well. We're programmed to do what they want us to do as well. And so completely opened their mind up to this whole thing as well. But the Scottish Sovereigns, go back to Scottish Sovereigns, we had a different outlook for the freemen on the land movement. Because in Scotland, we're sovereign. The people are sovereign. So she's no our queen. She just isn't our queen.
Nicola or the Queen?
No. I'm the King of Scotland. So are you, Billy. Like, we're all kings and queens of Scotland. That's how the Constitution of Scotland is written up. It's like, that's why she's designed as Queen of England. She can't be Queen of Great Britain. She can't be Queen of Scotland. She's Queen of England. And when we had royalty in Scotland, it was King and Queen of Scots. No King and Queen of Scotland. It was King and Queen, the People's King, the People's Queen. Because I'm King of Scotland. That's what the Constitution says. So are you, Billy. Like, we're all each other's lieges. So we had a different outlook for it. We didn't have to hand all that stuff back to the Queen because we were above her. And like, the whole thing was like a huge eye-opener. And the courts shit a brick, the Polish shit a brick. They didn't know how to handle us. It was exciting. We were on the cusp of something beautiful. Where am I now? The community that we had built through the sovereign network that we had, it went it went a bit mainstream, and people started coming to us for help, for like court cases, social services, people in mental health institutions would come to us for support and help. And I'm trying to bring that back. Right, that all fell apart. 2015, it fell apart. I went forward a wee bit. It fell apart in 2015 because there was the referendum. You can imagine what it was like during the referendum for us. We're trying to tell everybody that we're sovereign, right? We're already independent. Like the vote was a fraud. It wasn't an independence vote. It's a psychological war against independence, and it's still happening. Because the yes vote, like, I tell this to my English friends, and like they kind of get their head around that. But I tell this to a Scotsman or a Scotswoman, right? And they look at me with that rabbit in the headlights look, right? So the yes vote, right? You are voting for the Queen of England as head of state. That was within the yes vote, right? People with Scotland are not subjects to anyone, right? So everybody that voted aye voted himself to be a subject to the Queen of England. You voted her to be an unelected head of state. And I tried explaining this at the time, and everybody would just be like, but we need to get the independence first, then we can get rid of her. I mean, you're not getting independence first, you're voting for her. And the no vote was clearly to stay in the Union. So either way, they're still in the fucking Union. You know what I mean? That's like, and until the people of Scotland realise the severity of what happened back then, there's not going to be any change. But
that's a very good point. That whole fraud can actually be the thing that sparks the fire, kind of thing.
So, and it needs to be out there. There's nobody else talking about it. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm the only one that knows it. But I'm the only one talking about it. And other people need to come step forward and talk about it. It's going to take more than one voice.
Well, to me, this whole topic is the prime topic to be. It's the hot thing to be talking about, because everything comes from this. You know, all the change can happen if you start with this one. If you try and make changes in other places without getting this right, it's the foundation, basically. You know what I mean?
We just need to turn that key. Turn the people.
And it's the people.
We just need to turn the people. Let's see, I've got a wee bullet points here. So you can imagine, like, it's one thing being anti-SNP now, right? Can you imagine being anti-SNP during the referendum? It was carnage, mate. It was, honestly, we were getting laughed at, we were getting called traitors, we were getting everything, eh? I know what it's like to be David Icke on the Terry Wogan show. Everyone's laughing at you. They're not laughing with you. Know what I mean? They're laughing at you. Who's laughing now? Know what I mean? I'm certainly not laughing. I didn't find it funny. It's not funny at all. But that's where I was. And it was a hard place to be. And think about it, right? So I'm travelling Scotland, me and Croft travelling Scotland, trying to spread this message, sowing seeds of sovereignty throughout Scotland. And people just weren't getting it. It was frustrating. But the seeds are now growing. They're now growing.
That's it, yeah.
And
some things take time.
I'm going on a wee bit of a rant here. I need to
That's all right.
Check my notes here to see where I am.
While you do, I'll give a wee shout out to Ian Brown, who's watching the night. Where am I? Right, so 3 months before the independence referendum, right? Have you got the documents that I sent you? I do have them, aye.
Can you get them up on the?
Let me try. Which one do you want?
Wait a minute. Look, the police ones. What had happened was I had the Scottish Sovereign's Facebook page. The guy who run the forum didn't do social media, so I'd done the Scottish Sovereign's Facebook page. So all the messages were coming to me. Like, people gave me messages, and I got this message for this guy. He was like, "I've got information for you. Can I get your email address and a phone number?" So I gave him the email address and I gave him a phone number, and he gave me these 2 documents. That were 2 documents for Police Scotland, how to handle a Scottish sovereign. And the guy was obviously a member of Police Scotland, and he phoned me and he spoke to me for over an hour. Him and his mate. There's maybe more than 2 of them, but I spoke to 2 of them, and they were in complete admiration and loved what we were doing. They absolutely loved it. They're like, "Keep up the good work. It's an amazing fight," all this kind of stuff. And now we've all heard of police informants, aye. But we ever heard of the police informing to a sovereign Scotsman grassing in on their mates? It happened to me. And that tells me, right, that was back then, right? They admired us back then. So I think there's a lot of people within Police Scotland that admire what we're doing, especially the climate that we're in right now. That's the wrong one, Billy.
Oh, can you see that? Right, okay.
Aye, I can see that. Aye.
Is it this one?
No.
All right, that's. Let me come back to the screen then. I have to download that. Hold on. I'll have to look for the other one because you sent me 4. How to deal with the Scots of?
That's the one. Aye.
There's 1 and 2. Hold on.
Aye, there should be 2 documents.
Aye. Can you see that one now? No yet.
No.
Right. Hold on.
That's the wrong one again.
That one?
That one, aye. Could you not flip it round?
I'm trying to find out how. Hold on. This could be it. No. Rotate. There we go. We're getting there.
Right. Can you maybe read it out, Billy? I'm not real.
This one here.
Aye.
Okay, so it says, free men of the land and sovereign men, best practice and legislative guidance. Background. Free men of the land and sovereign men are groups of people who deny the authority and legitimacy of the legal system. They accept that they are governed by common or natural law. They argue, however, that statute law and other aspects of the law are contractual. They consider that they can opt out of contractual law by withholding their consent to that contract, and thus status law does not apply to them. Some freemen do not consider themselves to be subject to the jurisdiction of the courts. They attempt to employ pseudo-legal arguments and other tactics to disrupt police investigations and any subsequent court proceedings. Oh, God. Let's bring that back. Hold on. Oh, God. We'll get there.
There's a bit there about drivers stopping people in cars. Can you find that bit?
This one here, practical examples. Do the police have power to open the door or open the window of a vehicle when stopped on this incident for a moving traffic offence? The police do not have any legal authority to require an individual to exit their vehicle or open a window, or indeed take a seat in the rear of a police vehicle. Officers, however, should be able to communicate easily with the individual concerned and be able to hear and be heard by the relevant persons. This is different if officers are required to detain an individual. Do you understand the oath of a constable? Although all new officers do not...
Let's refresh what that bit you just read, right? Now, before we all started getting stopped in our cars and refusing to get out the car and just talking to them through a window, like the police thought that you had an obligation to get your car and get in the back of their car. That's what they thought until we started going out and doing this. And then they've obviously had to re-educate the police that that's not the case. Now, there's a lot in that. That's only a 2-page document. I've not got the whole document. They only gave me the 2 pages. But basically what that tells me is, like we changed the way police Scotland by our actions. Clearly. Right? If we can do it once, we can do it again. And for the police to contact me, members of Police Scotland to contact me and give me that, what does that tell you? That tells you that they admire us. That's a constable with integrity. That's like a true Scotsman. Any true Scotsman within Police Scotland has to admire what we're doing. Any man in the law has to admire what we're doing. You can't not admire it because it's right. It's no wrong. It's right.
Yeah, and it feels right as well. Do you know what I mean?
Of course, it is right.
Aye.
It's just everybody needs to learn their sovereign right. It's no rights we have. It's a right. It's a right. It's not plural. I've every right. I've every right to do as I please, as long as I'm not causing harm.
Do you want to look at any more of this document? We'll take it.
No, that was just that. I just wanted to get that information out there about you didn't need to get out your car. We
can make these documents available for people. I can put them on a link and people can.
You just roll your window down a wee bit. As long as you're nice to them, you're not being cheeky and that. Like they can't pull you out the car. You need a warrant to search your car, just like you need a warrant to search your house. So your car's a castle as much as your house is, eh?
But that whole thing was about the legal element, and you get a license, and then it's like licentious behaviour. You're like applying to do something illegal, kind of thing. And we've got a right to travel,
Didn't get me. Seeing the license, right? Any license, right? It doesn't matter what kind of license it is, right? Before you get the license, it's illegal, right?
Yep.
It's illegal before you get a license. But wait a minute, you can buy a license of us. And it's legal.
Poof, magic.
You've got to sell us. You're actually selling us something that's illegal.
Aye, that's why licentious behaviour.
Aye, it's mental, eh? I need to go back to my notes. Right, the Police Scotland contract. Right, so that was 3 months before the referendum, and I was getting pretty hot at the time. But then 9 days after the referendum, you get that Holyrood speech up ready, Billy. I done a speech at Holyrood 2014. So I've been sowing these seeds of sovereignty throughout the Yes movement with my mate Croft. And basically 9 days after the referendum, Salmond came out with all you need to do is declare independence. Like after it, you know what I mean? And we've been saying this the whole time. We've been screaming UDI the whole time. And we'd been going. We weren't going to protest. We didn't protest. Children stamped their feet in protest.
Exactly.
We were going there to declare the truth, to tell people the truth.
Aye.
So I went to this rally at Holyrood 2014, 9 days after the referendum, and I saw the mic. I just saw the mic there, and I just grabbed it, unprepared, unrehearsed, and this is what came out.
Cool.
Everyone in Scotland is independent. We're all sovereign. Scotland is independent. This is an illusion. It's an illusion. Now Salmon's saying all we need to do is declare independence. If you've got to declare something, you have to already have it. Aye. Now we're all kings or queens in this land. This is our land. Every man, woman and child in Scotland is sovereign. The declaration of our broke our declaration of independence never been overturned, can never be overruled. The Act of the Union built itself around the Declaration of Arbroath because it cannot be touched. We are all sovereign. Remember that. Every man, woman and child is sovereign. We are independent. It's a political illusion that they're putting us under. To take your independence from you because it's already in you. It's already in each and every one of you. We're all sovereign. Freedom!
Well, that was an amazing moment for me. It really was. So you've got everybody laughing at you, calling you a traitor, all this stuff, and then that happened. It was like the wind had changed. Like I could almost taste freedom. It was a beautiful moment. And then Brexit came along. And right, so we need to look at the actual the position Scotland's in when it comes to sovereignty, it's such a unique principle that it's enshrined in the people, right? Now, when you look at the New World Order, right, Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, and the EU and the UN, all of that lot, right, the number one goal, right, is to abolish sovereignty.
That's right.
All sovereignty, all that's national sovereignty, personal sovereignty, and even the monarchy. It has to go. There can't be a New World Order when there's sovereignty. And that's what, like, Prince Andrew and Prince Harry, they're the fall guys to bring down the monarchy.
Because the whole principle of a monarch is to protect its people, and
Right.
you know, to be like the ultimate one that, you know, the laws should be like every jury should be of the people. It's not the government that does it. The people control the law, and the monarch is the one that is the head public servant, and he's there to do a role. And if he's not fulfilling it, then he should be removed, sacked.
You've lost me track again, buddy. There was our game.
Just about everyone's sovereign. You just talked about your speech
The
there.
unique principle with sovereignty in Scotland. Aye. So when you look at the unique principle with sovereignty in Scotland, it's enshrined in the people. And you look at the agenda, Agenda 2030, Agenda 21, the UN agenda, right, to abolish sovereignty. Scotland is a major fucking target, right? It's a major target. They can't bomb it at us like they've done elsewhere, so there'll be global ramifications. You can't hide bombing Scotland. It's psychological. This is a psychological war on independence, and it's still happening now. So what's happened with the Brexit thing is, right, they've divided the vote, right? So like England want out and Scotland want to stay in. Allegedly. That was allegedly the vote. So Scotland's been programmed, right, to that old Westminster when they let us do it. We better do what Westminster, that whole rebellion thing. When you're being programmed to, well, it's a psyop. And that referendum, the first referendum was the first psyop that I ever experienced. And we're going to go through more. So the Brexit was, I reckon, Brexit was specifically designed for the Scots to surrender. Sovereignty cannot be taken from you, but it can be surrendered. And it's surrendered by vote. And as soon as if you're going to go into the EU, you're surrendering your sovereignty to the EU, right? The EU is run by 12 unelected bureaucrats. Can you name one of them, Billy?
No.
No, neither can I. I didn't want to know who they are. There were 12 unelected bureaucrats. That's who you're voting for. Like, Sturgeon's not interested in you. She's not interested in sovereignty in Scotland. She's not interested in Scotland. She's not interested in independence. All she's interested in is a seat on the New World Order. She doesn't give a shit. Know what I mean? She does not give a fuck. So the referendum...
it's more than not giving a fuck. She's going out her way to destroy Scotland.
Aye, completely. Completely. So you can imagine the heat that happened during the referendum with the Scottish sovereigns. There was death threats and stuff. Yeah, there was all sorts of just chaos. So,
crazy.
The guy who ran the forum, the Scottish Sovereigns on the Land.9.com. That was the name of the forum.
I was a member of it myself.
So as soon as it got hot, he removed the name sovereign, right? And that it hurt me. It hurt me. It had a personal effect on me, because I knew that sovereignty in Scotland was going to flourish. One day, people are going to wake up to who they are, but they wouldn't be like me searching sovereignty and finding Scottish sovereigns. It's not there for people to find. Right. So where's people going to get the information? Yeah. And I pleaded for Gaz to put sovereign back in there somewhere. And he wouldn't do it. I pleaded with him for a couple of years.
Why did he take it? Just because of the heat of that referendum?
He personally took a lot of threats, which is understandable. And so that's when I came to the conclusion that I need to do something. I need to do this. And I've been planning it since 2015. This is how long I've been working on this, trying to bring this back. because I've still got fragments of it in my life. I've still got all the phone numbers of the people that I connected with. I'm still in touch with all the people that I'm connected with, and it's almost like it's like a badge of honour. It was that, and that's how I got introduced to you, Billy. That's how Murray introduced me to you. He was like, "Come to Bragg. He's one of the original Scottish sovereigns." And when I hear that, it's like that properly warms my heart. It makes me feel I'm so proud of where I came from. I'm so proud of that whole thing. And I need
you've seen its power. You've seen the legitimacy of its power in action.
Totally, aye. It needs to come back. So that's where I am. I'm trying to bring it back. I'm trying to glue these fragments back together. And I spoke to guys on the site. I've been speaking to him quite often recently. He doesn't do social media. He doesn't do any of that stuff. And he doesn't even know the reputation that Scottish Sovereigns has. He's not got a clue. He doesn't know, and I'm telling him about it. And he doesn't believe that it's as big as what it is. So as I say, I'm trying to put it back together, because that network that we had, where we all supported each other, we all recognised each other for who we are, right? We all had each other's backs. Like, that needs to come back. Like, we all need to be recognising each other for the kings and queens that we are. We all need to be supporting each other.
And stop dividing each other with all this,
division bell.
Aye.
Division bell. We need to stop ringing the fucking division bell, guys. Seriously, we need to come together, right? And it starts with the Sovereign Scots Network. So I've been networking for a long, long time, like throughout Scotland, sowing seeds of sovereignty. And I started this wee Sovereign Scots Network. It's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, it's on Twitter, it's on Instagram. So I'm networking all the sovereigns back together, and I'm also networking through the sound system. So I've been doing a lot of work with the sound system. This is what I'm doing with the sound system. I'm taking it into communities. I'm taking it into city centres. I'm taking sovereignty back where it belongs, to the people. I'm getting invited into communities. And sovereignty is the message of sovereignty is going to be spread through the sound system. And I've got loads of artists last year plugging in, loads of artists wanting to plug in, just no managed to get together yet. The network is the people. The network is the sound system. The people is the network. And we need to unite people. And I think music's the way to do it. Music's the way to bring people together. We need to stop. Everybody needs to stop running to government. We need to stop running to the BBC. We need to stop shouting at government. Stop all this stuff. You need to get into your communities and bring people together. The government in Scotland is the community. That's the government in Scotland is the community. The communities are sovereign. Fact. And that's why they broke down the communities for decades.
Yeah.
They broke down the communities. They broke down the family unit because of that. And they specifically flooded the communities with heroin, right, to break down the communities. Because there were certain communities in the 70s and the 80s, the police weren't getting in there. There was a no-go zone for the police.
Right.
Because the people had the authority. The people were the authority. People didn't want them there. So they flooded the communities with heroin, right? Because then as soon as the heroin was in the communities, people started getting robbed, people started getting mugged, shops started getting broken into. So people are picking up the phone for the police. So we need your help. And then their invite into the communities. That was our invitation into the communities. And it was done on purpose. So
that's what we're up against, I
want to take sovereignty back into the communities. That's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing for the last year with the sound system. Take it back where it belongs. I'm getting invited into these communities. There's nothing that the police can do about it, because you've been invited in. And that's where it starts, is the communities. I want to read a wee bit of case law here by Lord Hope, which kind of nails it, right? This is 2012, AXA General Insurance Limited and Ors be Lord Advocate and Ors Scotland. Lord Hope gave as one of his reasons for setting aside the AXA claim that the Parliament at Holyrood represented the considered will of the people of Scotland. In doing so, he reasserted the principle that government in Scotland derives from the agreement of the community of the nation, and thus can be held to represent the will of the people. The government is the community. The community is the government in Scotland, right? This is case law. You're not going to argue with Lord Hope, are you? Nobody's got to argue with him. By custom and tradition, by treaty and modern legal precedent, therefore, the Scottish constitutional position is safeguarded within the common law, which remains separate and sovereign from that of England and the rest of the United Kingdom. According to this constitutional position, the Parliament in Scotland acts on behalf and by authority of the community of the nation, and is answerable to that community for its adherence to the considered will of the people. And what does that tell you? That tells you that we're the power. We're the government. So everybody that's been on the sound system, everybody that wants to come on the sound system, and everybody that knows what I'm doing with the sound system, can you now see why I'm doing it? Can you now see what I'm trying to achieve? I need some support. I need some support, guys. I need a lot of support. I don't need help, because you can't help me. I can only help myself. I can't help you, Billy. You can't help me. Well, I can support you, and you can support me, and I can support you. We can't help each other. But what I really need, right, is for this to happen. Is I'm not a sound guy. I'm not a sound engineer. I'm not a DJ. I'm none of that. I just like high quality audio. Right? And the reason I've got a sound system is I hate clubs. It just full of creeps. Idiots with high vises on their fucking arm. I'd rather take a sound system up a hill or into the woods with my mates. It's more fun.
Oh, totally.
But I need a sound engineer. I'm not a sound engineer. I'm just winging it. If there's any sound engineers out there that are willing to support me, get in touch. I also need. I've got a couple of guys with vans that help me, but they can't help me all the time. If there's anybody out there with a van that can help me move this, it's like a transit van full of equipment. I want to tour the sound system all over Scotland with a message. Have you got that wee logo that I've done? Have you got that?
I've got it on the next bit if you want to play.
Can you get the wee logo, the Scottish Sovereign Network logo?
Hold on. That one.
That one there, aye. So that's the logo that I've made up, right? That's the sound system logo. It's also the logo for the network. So no one attacks me with impunity. That's the motto of Scotland, right? They don't want you to know it. They don't want you to know that's your motto. It's on every castle in Scotland. It's on every police station in Scotland. It's in every court in Scotland, but it's written in Latin. It's always written in Latin because they don't want you to know what it says, right? Impunity means free from punishment and harm, right? So I've translated that from Latin into English for you to try and comprehend what it says. Well, I'm going to translate it a wee bit more for you, right? It also means, well, 700 years ago, this is what it would have meant. It would have meant, put your sword away, pal, because I've got one as well. I mean, you better be fucking good with it. That's what it means. It means do no harm, but take no shit. You know what I mean? And that's where we need to be. We need to spread that message. We need to spread that logo, right? If you support what I'm saying, and if you support sovereignty in Scotland, if you support democracy in Scotland, get that logo everywhere. Get it on your Facebook profile, get it on your car bumper, get it on your fridge, get it anywhere. Just get that information out there. That's who we are. They don't want us to know who we are. And I mean, that's our sovereign right. Anybody comes to attack us, and you've got the right to defend yourself.
Which could be handy quite soon.
It's going to be needed. We need to be in that mindset. That's the mindset that we need to be in. This is a lifestyle. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a way of life.
Yep. That's what needs to change. People have to change their consciousness to meet the standards of the law, the natural law. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So and it comes from the people changing as well, because they've been, again, made, you know, educated, etc., to fucking be more stupid.
So, right, as I was going on about the name change, and that's why I'm creating Sovereign Scots Network, so that if anybody in Scotland try to research sovereignty or find out information, this will pop up and information will be attached to it. But what I'm doing through the network as well, I've been in touch with Gaz, who ran Scottish Sovereigns on the Land.9.com, and the name, the platform's still there. The forum's still there. The website's still there. It's still in operation. All the information's still there. It's just changed its name. And it changed its name 2015 to peopleforpeople.9.com. And we've actually got Dr. Rima. I mean, if you don't know who Dr. Rima is, Google her, because you need to know who she is. She's been shouting this stuff since long before it even happened. The lockdown and Agenda 2030, all that stuff. She's been shouting that for years, right? And we've got her exclusively on People for People every Tuesday night at 11 o'clock, right? Now, she's only on People for People because People for People is the only uncensored platform where she doesn't get censored. Everywhere else she goes, she gets censored. As soon as she starts talking about nano silver and colloidal silver and all that stuff, she gets censored. All the corporate sponsors come in and censor her. So, like, People for People is now a global phenomenon. It was Scottish Sovereigns on the Land. It's now went viral globally. Like, as people in America are hosting shows, people in Australia are hosting shows. It's gone global. We've had everybody from Santos Bonacci to Rick Simpson. There's a full host of people that have been on that radio. But guess what? Right now, there's nobody in Scotland on it. That's a platform that the Scottish Sovereigns came from. And it's still there. It's like 15-year-old. And it's a platform, uncensored platform in Scotland that's gone global, yet nobody in Scotland's on it. People need to log into peopleforpeople.9.com, open up, start. It's just like a Facebook profile. You just open up a profile. There's a chat box in the middle of the page. You can navigate the page. There's loads of podcasts. There's loads of information. You can create your own chat groups. You can upload information. Loads of content there. And none of it's censored, and that's what I like about your platform, Billy. Is, I mean, if this gets taken down for Facebook or YouTube, whatever I'm saying gets taken down, it's still going to be on Billy Watson TV. Because
I've actually got a community there as well, and you know, they'll talk about support. I listened to this video that you're going to play, and it feels the same for myself. You know, look at all the people and the work I'm doing to try and educate people, and I'm getting no support. We need to support each other, because right now I started a shit job today, and I can't do what I'm wanting to do. I can't interview people anymore, basically.
So I've got a wee clip here from Dr. Rima, right? Now, what we need to, the last show Dr. Rima done last Tuesday on People for People, which is exclusive to People for People, there's something happening in Ecuador right now. And it's not getting any broadcasted anywhere else because they didn't want you knowing what's happening in Ecuador. But it's on People for People. Ecuador, right, are taking their government to court. They're holding their government and their head of state and all that to account for the lockdown and for the vaccine damages and all that stuff. Not only are they holding their government to account, they know it's coming for the UN and the WHO. And they want the UN and the WHO out of Ecuador.
Good.
And they're doing it, right?
Well done.
But the thing is, like the constitutional position that we're in Scotland, we can do the exact same.
Aye, and we should.
We're too busy chasing the BBC. We're too busy running to Parliament. we're too busy just psychologically fucking yourselves up, to be honest.
Yeah.
We need to be on People for People, listen to Dr. Rima, and we need to be getting organised to get these bastards out of Scotland. Right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get Billy just to play this wee clip of Dr. Rima, but she goes on about a donation button on People for People. Let me say something. Through the whole of the Scottish Sovereign thing, there was never a donation button. It was a golden rule for Gaz, never to have a donation button. But Gaz is like, he's a pub club singer. He does an Elvis thing. He does a very good Elvis thing. So during lockdown, he wasn't getting any work. And the site was going to go down. So you had to put the donation button there to keep the site up. And I mean, press play to the link, Billy, and we'll come back after you hear from Dr. Rima.
Okay.
I am Rima Ilebo, MD. I am the medical director of the Natural Solutions Foundation. My co-host, Ralph Fusatola, is a retired attorney who is also a trustee of the Natural Solutions Foundation.
People for People is an extraordinary organization that allows uncensored podcasts around the world, and it is an international phenomenon. The greatest group of people you'll want to follow.
I want to talk about that.
Please.
I want to talk about that a little bit, because peopleforpeople.ning.com is not just a platform. There are real people who have said, we need an uncensored platform with high quality information where people can say what needs to be said without fear of censorship, without fear of retribution, without fear of criticism because they hold unpopular or minority views, or popular and majority views. We will spend our time, we will spend our energy, we will spend the time that we might be spending with our families or our hobbies or our jobs, and we will make sacrifices at the personal level to provide something that spans the earth without being oppressive. One way of supporting this platform is financially. Oh, for God's sakes, everybody needs the money to run their internet, to keep the lights on, to do all these basic functions, and they're not getting it. You need to be connected here. You need to understand that this is from people, for people, to people. That's why it's called People for People. That's not a joke. And you need to say, how much is my information flow worth to me? Whatever it is that is worth to you, click the donate button. People, F-O-R, people.ning.com. Very simple. Then take the link, peopleforpeople.ning.com, and share it. Tell the people that you reach on social media and via email, this is important. There are views and data flows here that are vitally important to us as free human beings. You don't want to listen to our show? You don't have to listen to our show. Listen to any one of the people who are here, or all of them, or some of them. But get involved. We are fighting for our survival, and peopleforpeople.ning.com are warriors in that fight. We need our connection with other human beings, and we need our connection with the information and the passion and the energetic connection that we have and that we create for other people. Point is, this is your responsibility. We're giving you freedom and truth, and we're asking you to participate in keeping that alive for you and for the rest of the world. peopleforpeople.ning.com. You need to donate, you need to share the link, and you need to share the programs.
There you go, guys, Dr. Rima, exclusively right here in Scotland. Get yourselves tuned in. There's a host of other, if you go into the interface, there's a host of shows. There's something on every night. Now the chat box is really only active when there's a live show on the radio. But when there's no live show on the radio, the radio is still playing. There's constant loop the other shows. So if you log in at say in the morning, you'll be able to listen to a past show. There's constantly something happening, and all the podcasts are listed there. But I think it's amazing, right? Personally, I think it's amazing that was the original Scottish Sovereigns platform, and it's now went global. You heard it yourself, about global phenomenon.
Is all the old posts still in there from back in the day?
I think they are. I've not checked the whole archive, to be honest. But it should all be there.
Right.
But the people of Scotland need to be on that platform. That's our platform. It needs to be promoted. We need to be tuning into Dr. Rima to find out what's happening in Ecuador, because we can do the same. If we mobilise, if we organise, if we stop picking on each other and stop bitching at fucking silliness, know what I mean?
Yep.
It's just getting ridiculous. It really is. We've actually got something very important, something very powerful that we can all use if we come together. Now, there's a Christine Graham speech that came out. Christine Graham's a member of the SNP. In 2012, when the referendum happened, when it first got announced, Christine Graham made this speech on sovereignty in Scotland. And it was on the Parliament TV or something like that, one of these channels. And Gaz, the guy who runs the site, he's seen it, and he noticed that it was going to be quite important, and he recorded it. He recorded the audio of it, right? It's vanished. There's no anywhere to be found now. It's lucky that he recorded it. And I mean, if you're recording on YouTube that's been uploaded, has Gary's dog barking halfway through it. So you wouldn't be hearing this information if it wasn't for Scottish Sovereigns, right? You wouldn't know about UDI if it wasn't for Scottish Sovereigns. We were the ones shouting it first. The independence movement wouldn't be where it is right now. The mindset of the independence movement wouldn't be where it is right now if it wasn't for Scottish Sovereigns. This is where it all came from. So when Gary recorded the Christine Graham speech, which is amazing, it's amazing. It was played at the end of every radio show running up to the referendum. And I mean, I had it in a pen drive with me at the time. I didn't know how to upload onto YouTube and stuff back then. And I had it in a pen drive, and I would give it to people. You need to listen to this. And I've listened to this so many times. Like, each time you listen to it, something else pops out. It's only 6 minutes, but there's so much information in it, you can't listen to it once. You need to listen to it more than once. And it's that speech that influenced my sovereign's wish, which we'll play at the end. We try to get Christine Graham onto the show to talk about it, but she wouldn't come on and talk about it, which, Christine Graham, you've got a duty. You've got a duty to come and tell the people of Scotland some more.
There you go.
10 years ago you made that speech.
Right.
We want to hear more.
Yeah.
Let us hear more. In the meantime, Billy, play that speech.
Sure.
Graham to be followed by Malcolm Chisholm.
Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. I have to agree with David McLetchie that power devolved is indeed power retained. We are talking about obtaining independence. And he also knows, as a divorce lawyer, as I was myself, that when one party sees the end of the marriage is at an end, the detail is then negotiated according to law and practice. The same would happen in a dissolution between two parts of a united kingdom. I think it's important, however, to work back sometimes to why certain assertions are made, for example, in the claim of rights that the Scottish people are sovereign. So much slips into our everyday parlance that has a deep-rooted and substantive cultural or constitutional genesis. For example, when you hear Scots reprimanded for saying, "I seen it," or "I done it," This is in fact language that is grammatical, phrases that have survived through centuries of spoken Scots. They are not lazy or ignorant slang, but an echo from the past. Which takes me to the claim of right. In 1989, in the words, we gathered as the Scottish Constitutional Convention do hereby acknowledge the sovereign right of the Scottish people to determine the form of government best suited their needs. Indeed, that Constitutional Convention was proposed in a private member's bill way back in 1980 by the SNP leader, Gordon Wilson. Now, where did that sovereign right come from? There is no written UK constitution, but fragments of an incomplete constitutional jigsaw, some predating the Treaty of Union. And for example, as already been mentioned, you have to go back as far back as the Declaration of Arbroath, a declaration of Scottish independence and also of conditional monarchy. Yet the quote is, yet if he should give up, talking about Robert the Bruce, what he has begun and agree to make us our kingdom subject to the King of England or the English, we should exert ourselves at once to drive him out as our enemy and a subverter of his own rights and ours, and make some other man who was well able to defend us as our king. For as long as but 100 of us remain alive, never will we in any condition be brought under English rule. That is a king there by leave of those at the time representing the people, a narrow bunch at the time, some 51 magnates and nobles, but nevertheless, he was on parole. Now, the significance of those words resonating through the centuries are that the monarch, the power to rule, was conditional on the will of the then people of Scotland. This is reflected in the fact that Queen Elizabeth is Queen of Scots and not of Scotland. Sovereignty, therefore, now exercised in this democracy by various institutions is exercised through the express will of the Scottish people, which takes me to why Queen Elizabeth is designed as Queen of England. I think, if my recollection is accurate, it was Henry VIII of the Tudor dynasty who, installing himself as head of the Church, embedded the divine right of kings to rule. Sovereignty, the embodiment of which was the monarch, was absolute. As through centuries power was removed from the Crown and transferred to the English Parliament, so was sovereignty. And so the English Parliament was indeed sovereign, but that does not overrule or supersede the conflicting principle of the sovereignty of the Scottish people. The Treaty of Union, 1706 Article 3, states that the United Kingdom be represented by one and the same Parliament, to be styled the Parliament of Great Britain. The significance is that it was not a continuation of the English Parliament, nor indeed the Scottish Parliament. Sovereignty, therefore, for Scotland remains as it always was, with the people. I can also pray in aid the case of McCormick against the Lord Advocate, 1953 session cases. It was the blowing up of the post boxes with E2R in them because Elizabeth was the first Elizabeth of Scotland. And the following remarks made obiter in that case, and I quote, "Considering that the Union legislation extinguished the Parliaments of England and Scotland and replaced them by a new Parliament of Great Britain, I have difficulty in seeing why it should have been supposed that the new Parliament of Great Britain must inherit all the peculiar characteristics of the English Parliament, as if all that happened in 1707 was that the Scottish representatives were admitted to the Parliament of England." That was not done. The principle of the unlimited sovereignty of Parliament is a distinctly English principle which has no counterpart in Scottish constitutional law. So why the potted constitutional history lesson? Because it's significant to the legitimacy of the referendum. It is, of course, not consultative. It has legal, constitutional authority as well as political authority. In 1979 and then in 1997, there was no Scottish institution to provide a mechanism for asking the Scottish people a question on the Constitution. In 1979, the UK government took it upon itself by drawing up a referendum and, of course, drew up the questions, chose the date, 1st of March 1979, right in the middle of the winter of discontent when snow was falling over Scotland. That in itself was an omen, but the 40% rule, which effectively counted the dead and those not exercising their franchise to vote as a no, was the real treachery, compounded by Sir Alec Douglas, whom, on the eve of poll broadcasting we should vote no for a better deal. Plus ça change. Plus c'est la même chose. Now we have our own mechanism in the Scottish Parliament, but we don't need to have a Parliament. Even if this didn't exist, and the Scottish people were to stream out onto the streets of our towns and cities, into our villages, on megaphone, on marches, online, and say with a clear voice, they wanted an independent Scotland again, That would be a declaration of independence and no challenge from the Palace of Westminster, nor the corridors of the United Nations, nor this place, nor any courts could gainsay it. The Scottish people would say they'd done it, and they'd done it their way.
Aye.
Can you hear me now? Can you feel me? Know what I'm talking about? There's not one court, the Palace of Westminster, the corridors of the United Nations, can argue against the sovereign people of Scotland. We are constitutionally the authority of Scotland. There's no higher authority than a Scotsman. Scotswoman might disagree, right enough. Scotswoman is the highest authority in Scotland. There is nobody above us. That's it. Now that Christine Graham speech is golden. The fact that Gary captured that, it's went viral now through the Yes movement. If you're in the independence movement and that speech inspires you, get into People for People, hit the donate button, show your appreciation. If you can't hit the donate button, jump into the chat group and ask for Gaz. Show him your appreciation. Show him your support. Thank him for recording that video, that audio that I edited to that video. Because if he didn't record that, the people of Scotland wouldn't have that information. They would only be getting that information through the common man on the street. And people didn't want to listen to the man on the street. That's my problem. I'm just a guy in the street. They didn't want to listen to me. But the fact that that's coming from a voice inside Holyrood, right? And Christine Graham's still there. She sits right behind Nicola Sturgeon with the wee purple tint in her hair. She's still there. She's got a duty. She's got more of a duty now than she did back then to come and tell us more of this information, Christine. Please.
Well, what about Nicola Sturgeon? I'm sure she must be aware of it as well.
Of course she is. I'm aware of it, right? Aye. So the next one, right, where am I? I've got another couple of Christine Graham. Then we've got the Sarah Salyers speech, right? Now, Sarah Salyers. I've worked with Sarah in the past in court cases. She's a constitutionalist. She's given me permission to use this video. And I've been trying to meet up with her for a while, but she's busy. I will get a recording with her. It'd be good to get her on your show as well, Billy. There's many people that can get me and Sarah and Croft and all these other people to be voicing this voice. I need podcasts that are hitting hundreds of thousands of people. Link me up with people that are getting big hits. This information needs to go viral. We're running out of time. But I'll hit you with Sarah's information on the Constitution next. Billy.
You're going to find. You might find yourself up on the page of the British Library, which has a wonderful article about where the Constitution exists, and it'll take you through Magna Carta, the Declaration of Parliament, the Bill of Rights, and then on to the present, without a single mention of Scotland having any constitutional documents. So what happened? How did the pre-Union English Constitution suddenly become the post-Union Scottish Constitution? How did we all become English and bound by conventions, which, by the way, people will say in terms of Scottish excavation of the Constitution, my goodness, that's ancient history, isn't it? I mean, why are you bothering with that? Let's deal with today's realities. Today's realities include something called parliamentary sovereignty, which says that Parliament is sovereign over the people, and 1 million people on the streets don't have as much influence as a corporate lobbyist. It's up to Parliament. That's parliamentary sovereignty. High Court ruled in 2016 that there was no requirement for Parliament, for the judges to listen to the electorate. Do you know Scotland had a very different system? And our ancestors, when they signed that forced marriage contract, and it was a contract, they put in a prenup. They did. They put in a get-out clause. The get-out was, and this was done, whatever you think of the Presbyterian Kirk, and I have Presbyterian ancestors going all the way back, they were worried that Scotland would lose her character, her judicial character, her religious character, and her constitutional character. So they made it a condition of the Union and the treaty that that constitution was upheld. Now, we've been excavating that constitution, and in very short terms, what it says is, it is a crime in Scotland to claim that a parliament is sovereign over the people. It is a crime punishable by forfeiture of power. It is a crime to attack human rights. It is a crime to attack the right to protest in Scotland. It is a crime to give money to your pals. It is without parliamentary oversight. It is a crime to use the law to go after your political enemies. So some of us, you may know about the SSRG and Albafest and Salvo, some of us are excavating those rights, because when you get married, if you have a prenup and the other partner breaks the conditions of that contract, you've got a way out. And it's not a coincidence that we've been being told that our way out is get a majority of MPs in Westminster. Oh, no, it's not. Prove that most people, including those who are only passing through, want it. Oh, no, it's not. Because the map that the prison governors will give us to get out, the map that the abuser in the marriage will give you to get out, is gaslighting. We have a way out. And that way out is to get the people of Scotland together, back up off their knees after the treachery and the betrayal and the centuries of abuse we have suffered, and explain you are sovereign in Scotland. You lend your power to any government, and you can take it back, not by saying, oh, well, we'll vote in another party. You can sack them, and you can replace them. So we are asking conference to send this wonderful motion back, and I wish we weren't, to include the acknowledgement that power in Scotland is vested in the people, and that we need to support the movement that is looking to create that grassroots tidal wave that says to the whole of Scotland and the whole of the world and the international courts, this is our law. This is the crime that's been committed against us, and we will, thank you very much, be reconvening the Assembly of the People that was known as the Convention of the Estates, putting this government on trial, and when they are found guilty, sacking them. So please, I feel the same way about my country, and I feel the same way about you guys. So I'm asking conference to remit back this wonderful motion and have it include support for the movement to reclaim Scotland's written constitution. Thank you very much.
I feel the same way about my country, and I feel the same way about you guys. That's why I'm here. That's why I do what I do. I know we can do this. People have told me for years and years it'll never happen, Bri. They'll never get it. I've got full faith in the sons and daughters of Scotland. Never doubted them. It can happen. We're in such a unique position in Scotland. Think about it for a moment, right? It's to land on everybody's doorstep tomorrow morning, right? Scotland is independent. You've been lied to, you've been duped, you've been hoodwinked for centuries. There's the information, go and look at it. Think about that, think of the jubilation, think of the part of it. It's to land on every doorstep in Scotland at the same time. This is Scotland, come on, it's bigger than winning the World Cup. It's bigger than winning the World Cup, seriously it is. And I mean, I bang into celebrities because they just cross my paths, and I approach some of this information, and a lot of them call me conspiracy theorists. And I'm not wanting to say who, but I've heard that. You didn't believe who said that to me. But I ended up banging into John Collins and TK Maxx on Christmas Eve. Right?
Yeah.
John Collins was in the last Scotland squad to be in the World Cup.
Yep.
He lifted a cup at Hampden Park on Mother's Day and took it back to Easter Road as a manager. He's quite a legend in my family. And I seen him in TK Maxx. I clocked him, and I'm like, I need to speak to him about sovereignty. I just walked around the shop a wee bit, and then banged back into him and engaged with him on the subject matter. And he listened to me. And as soon as I told him about like the position that we're in, and she's designed as Queen of England for a reason, and I'm King of Scotland, so are you. Explained the Constitution to him, and I was like, John, this is bigger than winning the World Cup. As I said earlier, it's a land on every doorstep in Scotland tomorrow morning. Who we actually are is bigger than winning the World Cup. Could see fireworks in his eyes. Like, he's the last Scotland player to be in a fucking World Cup.
We scored the penalty.
Fireworks going off in his eyes.
Did not score the penalty against Brazil in the 1-1 draw.
Aye.
2-1, got beat 2-1.
and then he wished me and my family a Merry Christmas. And like, he leaned right in and he was like, keep telling the people. Keep telling the people. And I was like, I will keep telling the people. I'm not going to stop. Keep telling the people. And then I banged into this other celebrity. I'm not going to mention his name. One of the most popular singer-songwriters in Scotland, right? I walk my dogs round the meadows every day, right? I kept banging into this guy. But each time I'd bang into him, he was getting on a bus or he was just busy. And then I ended up banging into him at Toll Cross. I was coming off a bus and he was getting on the bus. And I was like, it's destined that we're banging into each other.
Sounds a bit rude.
In Scotland. It was like, I need to. He said, no, right now I'm getting on a bus. I was like, I know, I'm getting off. But we need to speak. And that was that, right? And I'm walking through the meadows, right, with my dogs. No long after that, I'm walking up Middle Meadow Walk. No word of a lie, right? No word of a lie. I looked up to the sky, right? And I'm like, please let me bang into that singer-songwriter again. Like, please, right? And honestly, within 30 seconds,
wow.
Right, within 30 seconds, who walked out of Soderbergh?
Aye, crazy.
Singer-songwriter. I mean, if you play his songs anywhere in the world, the place is jumping, right? So, and he clocked me as soon as I clocked him. And I turned around and I walked towards him and I started engaging with him in this position that Scotland's in. Basically, I told him I'm King of Scotland and he laughed at me, like most people do, until I tell them what the Constitution says. I've read the Constitution, and that's what it tells me, that I'm King of Scotland. So are you, Billy. We all are. And once I explained that to him, like, I could see him, the fireworks going off in his eyes as well. And I was like, I need to get you on a podcast or something. Like, how can I get hold of you? He gave me his agent's number, and he was like, no, right now. And this was last summer. I've not contacted him yet. But what I need, right, is I need celebrities with a Scottish voice. I need a high-profile Scot to talk to me on a podcast about this information, because people want to listen to the guy on the street. They need a demigod. You know what I mean? They need a false idol to look up to. The guy in the street's fucking meaningless. So if I could sit and talk on a podcast with a high-profile Scot, people would listen. We'd listen more than just me talking, eh? And other people, I'm not saying I'm the only one with this information.
I heard you tried a few other podcasts before coming here. Anyway.
I've been trying a podcast for ages and like nobody's let me on. But now that I posted the poster for this one, Billy, I'm getting inundated with people wanting me on their podcast just because of that poster. It's not even dropped yet. I know as soon as this drops, it's going to be getting flooded with people wanting me on. But more people need to come out to be talking about this. More podcasts need to step forward and get me on the show.
I don't know if you heard the guy William Kitey. He was on with Neil Oliver talking about the Constitution in general. What do you think about that? How that relates to
the thing? Right, well, that's it. Murray contacted me. Big shout out to Murray and Richie, by the way, who are People for the people. They've started a group, People for the People. And they're in Glasgow. They want to do workshops on common law and trying to get people versed on all this stuff. But Murray told me about that. He mailed me. He's like, "You've been talking to Neil Oliver, Bri?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "How?" He's like, "Because he's talking about what you're talking about." I thought you maybe. And funny enough, 2-3 weeks before that, right, I'm sitting on a bus, right, and I've seen Neil Oliver. Honestly, like he was at the traffic lights, and I've seen him, and I couldn't believe it. I was literally going to get off the bus to go to I never, and I regret. And this was like 3 weeks before that thing came up. But I did see that, and there's more and more people coming out talking with the same mindset.
Go back to the Constitution, basically, because that sits above the parliamentary bullshit. It's funny, you seen me in Edinburgh as well. I was doing a driving job a few days in Edinburgh, and you fucking banged on my window.
I remember that, on Lowland Road. And where we are next, right, I'm going to get the Tony Benn.
Oh, are you still there? Hold on.
He's up the Queen, maybe the King's Privy Council. Still here. Right, so the Privy Council, right?
Oh, hold on.
Every political party get to go in a position unless you're on the Privy Council, right? So the oath, right, is to uphold the Union, Crown, to foreign powers. That's the oath, right? So Ben, who was a Republican, Queen's oath, the oath to uphold the Union and to uphold the Crown. He's going to talk a wee bit.
Can you just stop a wee? Can you stop? You were breaking up a wee bit there, so I don't know how other folk will get. Just start that wee bit again.
Right, so we're going to introduce you to Tony Benn, who's a Republican, and he was against the Privy Council oath. He was against the Union and the Crown and all that stuff. He's a Republican. So he explains the Privy Council oath in a good wee bit of detail. So if you play that clip of Tony Benn talking about the Privy Council oath, then I'll explain how it's politically tied up. Independence is politically tied up. It cannot happen politically because of the Privy Council oath. Their hands are tied. It has to come from the people, the sovereign people. Billy, press the button.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty.
Like bishops, every member of Parliament has to pledge his or her loyalty to the Queen as head of state.
I swear by Almighty God that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors, according to law, so help me God.
It is an allegiance primarily to the country, to its system of government, and that includes the Queen as head of state. I mean, I'm sure there'll be all sorts of arguments about whether you amend the oath or not, but personally, I'm perfectly happy with it as it is.
But it's more of a problem for MPs who'd prefer Britain to be a republic.
If you're elected a member of Parliament, if you do not take the oath of allegiance, you are prevented by law from sitting in Parliament.
As a committed Republican, under protest, I take the oath required of me by law under the Parliamentary Oaths Act of 1866 to allow me to represent my constituency. I, Tony Benn, do solemnly and sincerely and truly declare and affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, her heirs and successors, according to law.
The fact that every member of Parliament who is a Republican like myself has to tell a lie is very offensive, just to me.
The Privy Council, Your Majesty.
Senior politicians take a more elaborate oath of allegiance when they join the Queen's Privy Council, the ancient body which today formally approves a lot of government business.
Who pledge to protect the Queen from all foreign potentates, prelates, potentates, and powers. And at the end of that, when they read it to me, I said, I haven't agreed. Oh, they said, you don't have to. So I said, what do you mean? They said, we have administered the oath. The oath is an injection. I never understood the title administration of oaths, but if I have an oath administered, I stand there and I'm changed externally.
No, it's a little unfair. It's explained to you. I dare say Tony Benn took a variation of the oath. It's not an injection. It's rather easy and pleasant ceremony.
One entitled the Consular Fees Amendment Order 1990.
Approved.
I don't think the Queen thinks the Privy Council has any power. I mean, the Queen knows very well that her orders in Council are not her orders, that they're the Minister's orders.
Drafts of 17 orders in Council.
The Privy Council conducts business on its feet. That normally keeps the meetings short.
1923.
The clerk to the Privy Council read out to appoint a chaplain to Wadham College, Oxford. And the Queen said, why do I appoint a chaplain to Wadham? Michael Foot was then President of the Council, Leader of the House of Commons, standing there and said, well, Ma'am, I can explain all this to you. Wadham's my college. And began to talk about the history of Wadham. I think we've got to the Reformation when the Queen said, I think that's enough about Wadham College for one morning. Thank you very much indeed. And appointed a new chaplain.
Approved.
And that, Your Majesty, concludes the business for today's Council.
That's it.
Hold on, pause again. Just pause there.
Right, so Tony Benn's explained the oath there, right? Are you there? Can you hear me?
Right, I think you're okay now.
It's a oath, which was to protect the Crown from foreign powers. What are the sovereign people? We're a foreign power. The people of Scotland are a foreign power to the took the oath to uphold the Union, and they both took an oath to uphold the Union and to protect the Crown from foreign powers. They've got a wage and a seat for life for being on the... Salmon's still getting a wage for life for being on the Privy Council. So Nicola Sturgeon's job within the Privy Council is to protect the Crown from the people of Scotland, for the sovereign people of Scotland. That's her job within the Privy Council. So it's not going to happen politically, because if Sturgeon was to get us independence, she'd get done for treason. There you go.
That's an interesting one.
She can't give us it. She can't do it.
And even the independence, I don't think, as you said before, is real independence, is it?
No, it's no. Well, the next independence vote is to vote in the EU. They programmed that one to get independence in the EU. Independence is free from all outside control. How can you be independent in the EU? And don't get me started on the EU, because the EU is a Nazi doctrine. It was started off by Hitler, the superstate. It was written way back then. We didn't want to be part of that stuff. Like, why would you want 12 unelected bureaucrats running you and your affairs and dipping into your pockets? You've got to jump from one frying pan into an even bigger fucking frying pan.
Or the fucking Great Reset and the digital currency, etc. You know.
The EU is the fucking New World Order, superstate.
Yeah.
England's already been divided into, I think, 7 or 9 states. And Scotland's another one, Ireland's another one, all part of the superstate. It's horrible. But the thing is, right, Scotland's system is designed to defeat the New World Order. It was designed back then for all this fucking bullshit. Right? You remember when Caesar took over the world? Right? That was a New World Order back then. That was a New World Order. What happened when they came to Scotland? They got sent packing. They got sent home to think again. Right? They went home to think again and came back. And what happened? They sent home again to think again. I don't know how many times that happened, but it kept happening. And while he was doing that thinking, what did he think up? He said, I need to build a wall. These guys are barbaric as fuck. They didn't want anything to do with my New World Order. And I didn't want them to have anything to do with my New World Order. And they built the fucking wall. It wasn't to keep people out of Scotland. It was to keep us out of the New World Order. Right? So, like, we fucking defeated it back then. We can do it again.
Let's go back and build the wall.
Nah, I'm not the walls in that.
I'm joking.
We need to unite, you know what I mean?
No, Scotland, I've said this for a while, because partly I've known about this. We can be an example for the rest of the world, basically.
If you free Scotland, you free the world. Scotland up and rises, like the whole world will rise up with us. Simple. I mean,
everyone knows Braveheart.
All eyes will kingdom. Everybody's waiting on it. Not just the Scots. Globally, people are waiting on it. There's 5 million Scots in Scotland. There's 5 million kingdoms in this kingdom. And I'm one of them, right? How many Scots do you think there is globally? There's 5 million in Scotland. How many do you think there is globally? 65 million Scots globally. Estimated. Allegedly. So, like... organise people for people and listen to what's going on in Ecuador, and need to mobilise and try and create the same. On my bullet points. Basically, that's basically it. I've got another video to show you, but now that I've explained the Constitution and the position that Scotland's in and where I came from and all that kind of stuff, people that know sound system, right, is really know what I'm trying to do with the sound system is unite the communities. The communities is the government. The government is the community. And that's where we need to be.
When you say the sound system, sorry, you're breaking up a wee bit, unfortunately.
Be supporting. We need to stop running the government, stop running the BBC, stop running all these institutions and shouting at them, because it's just psychologically messing you up. You need to go to your villages, you need to go to your communities, you need to go to the people, and we need to organise. And there's a job to be done. That's what Gaz on People for People said way at the beginning, Scottish Sovereigns, and it resonated with me so much. He's like, Bri, there's a job to be done, and there's a fucking big job to be done. It's not an easy task, but Scotland's not that big, really, right? Scotland's like, I mean, I'm in Edinburgh. Edinburgh's not like a city. It's like a big village. It's like a huge village. Everybody knows each other. You know somebody that knows somebody. Scotland's kind of like that as well. It's not like a country. It's like loads of big villages. Like we can do this. You know what I mean? We can get this information throughout Scotland quite easily. I just need some support. So speech, and it was influenced. It was influenced for the information I got through the Scottish Sovereigns, and it was influenced for the Christine Graham speech as well. Sovereign's wish. Now there's no higher command than a sovereign's. There's no higher command than a sovereign's wish. So this is 10 years worth of research, right? It took me 3 years to pen it down. But when I penned it down, I started researching great speeches to try and get some influence, and Martin Luther King came up. I Have a Dream, great speech. So with this speech that I've done, I've took bits out of loads of great speeches and mixed it in with my own sort of bits. And the first line of the speech, I took a line from Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream, and he opens up his I Have a Dream with, I'd like to welcome you to the greatest demonstration of freedom in the history of this nation. Right, now I removed one word for that line. I removed the word nation and I replaced it with mankind. Right, so my dream is bigger than Martin Luther King's dream. And I'm not saying I'm any bigger than Martin Luther King, any way, shape or form, but what I'm saying is my dream is bigger than Martin Luther King's dream. His dream was about a nation. My dream is about mankind, right? So, and then the end of the speech, I got the end of the speech, I put the Charlie Chaplin speech in it, that great dictator speech. And what I'd done is I ended up getting the Braveheart music and I synced it up with the Martin Luther King speech, and I synced the end of Braveheart with the end of the great dictator, and it fucking flowed marvellously together. And as soon as I've done that, I was like, I've got a fucking hit. I was like, that's amazing. Like when you hear John Lennon when he writes doing stuff, and as soon as he writes it, he knows it's a hit. It was kind of like that. So I had the two pieces. That was like my bread and butter. It was the Martin Luther King at the beginning and the Charlie Chaplin bit at the end. I just needed to fill the sandwich, and it took me 3 years to like fill that sandwich. And then I wanted to drop it for the 700th anniversary of the Declaration of Arbroath. So I started, I had headphones on with the Braveheart music and a microphone, trying to sync myself with the music to get it recorded, to then put the vocal onto the music kind of thing. And I started doing that on the 4th of April to get it done for the 6th of April for the Declaration of Arbroath, right? 4th of April I started putting this on a microphone. And it wasn't until it came up in my memories a year later, on the 4th of April, and then I realised that was the day Martin Luther King got shot. So
right, allegedly.
We started recording this speech with opening the Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream. It was the day he was fucking shot. It's like, how uncanny is that? Yeah, I never scripted that, I never backed it out, it just happened, eh?
Yeah. It's the universe at play.
Play that, I'll get you it and cut out. Is it cut out again?
Just a wee bit there.
I've been to the mountaintop. I've seen the Promised Land, and the Promised Land is Scotland. Like, the people of Scotland rise up, the whole world will rise up with us. Billy, cue a sovereign's wish to all mankind.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration of freedom in the history of mankind. It is striking how central the theme of freedom is to Scots historiography, a precious and at times a slim thread linking the centuries. The Declaration of Arbroath is Scotland's declaration of independence and has been preserved for all time, eternity, making sovereignty of Parliament an English principle with no counterpart in Scots constitutional law. As sovereignty in Scotland remains, and always will remain, with the people of Scotland. They have airbrushed the Declaration of Arbroath out of the Scots consciousness, as they do not want the Scots knowing they are truly independent. With our sovereignty, independence and Scots law preserved for eternity within the Declaration of Arbroath, the Scots Claim of Right 1689 also being preserved within the Treaty of the Union. In this kingdom named Scotland, there are 5 million kingdoms, and I am one of them. My soul governs my kingdom. They say every sovereign has a wish. The sovereign talking right now, his sovereign wish is for world peace. I now ask 100 sovereign Scots to stand with my sovereign wish. Constitutionally, it only takes 100 Scots to implement the declaration, so long as 100 of us remain alive. Whoever stands with us and declares world peace stands in the same capacity as the Scots, sovereign, and everyone becomes sovereign at one given time in history. Everyone is sovereign, in my eyes, as we are all one. The Scots are the guardians of sovereignty and liberty, as it has been secured for eternity within the Declaration of Arbroath and within the Treaty of the Union. So it's the Scots' duty to implement this. With help from every other Indigenous tribe globally, this then becomes universal. This will then turn the Declaration of Arbroath into a declaration of liberty for all mankind. It takes only 100 Scots to implement this. We have a duty to defend our ancestors as they defended us by securing our sovereignty in this letter from Arbroath to the Vatican, a political masterpiece before politics was even thought of. By implementing the Declaration of Arbroath, one of the most remarkable documents to have ever been produced anywhere, quoted by many, understood by few, its historical significance has now almost been overtaken by its mythical status. It's more significant right now than ever before. it has been confirmed by the Vatican for eternity. This means no parliament or any court in any land can supersede it. It gives the people of Scotland full authority. There is no argument. The gods of peace have spoken. Your heart is free. Have the courage to follow it. The kingdom of sovereignty is in man, not one man, not a group of men, but all men. It's in you. You, the people, have the power to create machines, the power to create happiness. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. And in the name of sovereignty, let's use that power. Let's all unite. Let's unite for a new world, a decent world that will give all the chance to work, that will give you the future and old age and security. By the promise of these things, groups have risen to power, but they lie. They do not fulfill their promise. They never will. Dictators free themselves and they enslave the people. Now let's fulfill that promise. Let's unite to free the world, to do away with national barriers, to do away with greed, with hate and intolerance. Let's unite for a world of reason, where sovereignty and progress will lead to everyone's happiness. Spoken like a true warrior poet, spoken like a true sovereign Scotsman. One love and light. Peace.
It's not for glory, nor for riches, nor the honours that I sing, but to sing a song of freedom, all the joy of love to bring. Not for riches, nor the glory, nor the honours that I sing, but to sing a song of freedom, sing a song we all can sing. That floats in open space. Truth or lies, see it in their eyes. Earth's a rock that floats in open space. Be it blue or white, see it in their eyes. Earth's a rock that floats in open space. Up they rise as the stars align. Earth's the rock that floats in open space. It's not for glory, nor for riches, nor the honours that I sing, but to sing a song of freedom, sing a song we all can sing. Not for riches, nor the glory, nor the honours that I sing, but to sing a song of freedom, sing a song we all can sing.
Hi, Bri. I think I should warn you that because we're playing a copyrighted song, it might cut us off. Facebook. So just to let the people know, you can go to my website. It's streaming there if it cuts off. So we'll play the rest of it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Aye. So we'll play the rest of it and just hope if it cuts off, folks, you can go to my website because, you know, Facebook sometimes copyright things, just to let you know. Anyway, I'll continue playing it, aye?
I just play it. There's a message in the next two songs, guys.
For as long as
I hope it plays well.
remain alive, never will we on any conditions be subjected to the lordship of the English.
On the 60th of April, 700 years ago, where's the man who swore the oath Scotland will be a slave no more? Presented the Pope 3 documents, the one that Bernard of Linton wrote. Was the parchment scripted in Latin, the declaration of our broth? Said as long as 100 Scots still stand, we'll honour that pledge on the paper. Petition the pontiff with honest intention, exonerate Robert who saved us. Gave us the faith that we prayed for, they faced the invader, the traitorous neighbour. They only came here to break us, we showed them Scotland's the bravest. This is my land, these fields I've roamed, my sword and shield and my ancestors' bones. My soul tie flying high so they can see. We are Scotland, we are free. May the spirit of the bush rise up in our hearts so we never fear tyrants. May the soul of Bernard control my pain so they can hear my defiance. 700 years later and still these liars they try and deny us. We stand on the shoulders of giants, so we show them how rampant the line is. As long as 100 Scots still stand, we're Christian, Muslim and pagan, all sharing the same vibrational space, one in a sovereign nation. We open the doors to the migration of ourselves and our human relations, cause the ancient been waiting too long for the day that we gain our emancipation. This is my land, these fields I've roamed, my sword and shield and my ancestors' bones. My soul tie flying high so they can see. We are Scotland, we are free. This is my land, from coast to coast. It's for the men who swore the oath that I broke. The banners flying high so they can see. We are Scotland, we are free. We are Scotland, we are free.
Bigger than winning the World Cup.
We are Scotland, we are free. This is my land. My sword and shield and my ancestors' bones. My soul tie flying high so they can see. We are Scotland, we are free. This is my land, from coast to coast. It's for the men who swore the oath that I broke. The banners flying high so they can see. We are Scotland,
We are free.
This is how simple.
What's that, mate?
Guys, now watch.
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. The farther you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me, you can decide to turn your face 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong.
Can you feel me now?
The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. You hide behind walls of Jericho. Your lies will come tumbling. Deny my place and time. You squander wealth that's mine. My light will shine so brightly it will blind you. 'Cause there's something inside so strong, so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, there's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough,
Tell them to fuck off.
when we know better, just look them in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway. Gonna do it anyway. Something inside so strong. And I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. Oh, that my pride was something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong.
You want to say something, Bri?
I'm just saying, I know they can do it. I always have.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are getting goose pimples, you know, and it's like a calling.
It is a calling, Billy. It's exactly what it is. I know it's my calling. It's like, as I say, it's bigger than winning the World Cup. It's huge. It's huge. It's massive. And just play the rest of the video and then we'll come back.
Brothers and sisters, when they insist we're just not good enough,
Tell them to fuck off.
when we know better, just look them in the eyes and say, we're gonna do it anyway. 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 Because there's something inside so strong. Inside so strong. I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong, you thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. Something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Something inside so strong.
pause it here.
Oh, aye, go.
Right, aye. So basically, can you hear what I'm saying? Can you feel where I'm coming from? It's that simple. You heard it for Christine Graham, like that voice in Parliament. Christine Graham, come and tell us some more, please. You've got a duty. You've got a duty of care to the people of Scotland, more now than ever before. Tell us more, right? So if anybody supports what I'm saying, right, if you support sovereignty in Scotland, if you support democracy in Scotland, share the network, get on People for People, get that logo, get that motto of Scotland all over Scotland. Please, make your profile picture that logo if you support me. Show me some support, right? And I'm going to go play, I've got to leave it with a wee bit here, right? And then we'll play the rest of the video and that's me done. But one of the most pleasing things that I've done throughout this whole thing, right? It was something me and Croft done, right? My daughter phoned me up and she was like, Dad, like one of our pals had just had a baby. And our pal had been in the care system and stuff. And so social services had their claws in, they're coming for the baby, right? So my daughter phoned me to try and get some support for her pal. And me and Croft, we went to the hospital. Actually, most of these tribunals or whatever are actually in the hospital. So me and Croft went to the hospital to take the information to the parents, give them their sovereign right, and tell them their rights. And we done that. We weren't allowed in the hearing or stuff, but we went and spoke to them beforehand, right? And I gave the baby a nice big chunky rose quartz, right? The parents walked out the hospital with a baby. For me, that was like, I mean, that's where we need to be. That's what we need. That's what the network's about. That's where I'm coming from. I need support for people that are in the same kind of mindset. We need to create a network for each other, to support each other. There is no help out there at all. I've tried, right? I've had serious situations within my family, right? Serious as fuck. And I've tried to get help. I've tried to get help for the services that are supposed to give you help. And they just gaslight fuck at me, right? And I came to this conclusion, once going through that experience, I came to this conclusion that, and this was an empowering moment, right? When I realised that there's no help. There's no help out there for anybody. Like, I can't help, as I said earlier, I can't help you, Billy, and you can't help me. There is no fucking help out there, right? You can only help yourself. And once you get to that realisation that you can only help yourself, it's empowering, right? So I'm here, I'm helping myself, but I'm needing support. And I can support you if you support me. And if we support each other, we can create something special, right? If we didn't support each other, nobody else has got to do it. We need to support each other. So, like, you've heard what I've got to
be a good idea.
And where I'm coming from. And I've got a whole network of sovereigns out there that can give people support with situations. We need to bring all these people back together. And the freedom movement out there needs to take heed. You need to realise your power. You need to stop disempowering yourself by running to government, shouting at government, shouting at the BBC, or you're just disempowering yourself. You need to empower yourself, take your power back, and let's take this fucking authority back where it belongs, to the communities. That's me, Billy. You got anything else to say?
Well, just basically during this whole show, which has been totally epic, by the way, of all the shows I've done, I have to say this one is probably the most powerful and moving by far, because there's a final solution, a good one, you know. And
we are the solution.
Aye. So basically, I thought, like, I was in Turkey during the whole build-up, so I missed all the independence thing, but I came back, I think just a couple of months or a month or so before. I ended up staying 8 months and then go back to Turkey. But 2 days before the referendum, there was a Scottish night, a poetry night, and there was, and I says, can I get a spot in it? And they said, aye, and I was thinking I was going to do Nob Stewart. But I went to the library the morning of the gig that night, and I wrote a poem called Scottish Independence. So it might not be 100% factually accurate now, considering the things you're talking about, but I'd like to share that maybe at the end of the show, after this video, if that's all right with you.
Well, go for it. What the next video, right, is basically at New Year, and I was up Colton Hill with the fireworks. I went and played Pablo Natini through the sound system, and the fireworks went off, and it just synced so perfectly. And it's just beautiful to see all the people up there celebrating the new year coming. I just put that video in just to for the people that know what I'm doing with the sound system and come on the sound system. This is my aim.
Yeah, I did ask you this, but I think you never heard it. Basically, what is the sound system? What do you do with that? When you turn up with a sound system, what happens?
We're basically taking the communities back, right? Taking the authority back. So the idea with the sound system is to get into the communities and engage with the communities and bring them back together. Bring the authority back into the communities.
So just get there, play tunes, and then talk about Scots law and shit.
Try and get artists on to just entertain the communities, basically, and to a bit of empowerment along with it.
So, like the one I turned up and played at, that was basically.
Well, that's it, right? So my most asked question last year, right, 2022, was, Bri, how did you get permission for this? So it was London, Glasgow Green, Colton Hill, all these places, and people were like, how did you get permission for this? And I'm like, well, who does a sovereign ask for permission? You know what I mean? Who does a king get permission for? Doesn't that? No, that's the mentality we need to be in.
Right. So here's another question I've got for you. I wasn't there that day. I was in Falkirk a couple of times before, but then when we were there that day, I seen the video of you getting hoiked by the police in Falkirk, and you went to their station that day. So, so what happened with that one?
That was a mad one, right? So this was 2020, October 2020. It was Halloween, right? So the common law thing went pretty mental in 2020. Around about October, September, it just went mental. And my inbox went fucking mental as well. So there was, in Falkirk, there was these mothers were doing like a Halloween party for children, but they also invited a lot of the common law people along to talk about the common law. And I got invited along, and I spoke about sovereignty. And what had happened was the police had showed up, obviously. So there was a wee area where like a marquee gazebo thing, where a wee speaker and a microphone for people talking, with a wee bit of an audience. And then the mothers had sort of had a wee Halloween party at the same time for the kids, but it was the kids were a wee bit away from the gazebo, in this other bit of a field. And while we were talking, like the police were intimidating the mothers and children, like really intimidating them.
Well, a friend of ours got arrested, and she was kind of helping to do that Halloween party.
So
she'd done 2 previous events, and she was right into it. Then that happened, scared the shit out of her.
So like, and the girls done well though. They kind of held their ground and stuff with the police. They actually done well. And then what had happened was it's time to pack up. So I'd say to everybody, because the police and that were there, I'm like nobody's leaving until like these guys are packed up, because the police are going to target them. And they did. They started targeting. They targeted this one woman, trying to get her as an organizer, right? And she was a mother, would be like a toddler, right? And
she was a young lass.
And 3 of them cornered her, like had her in a corner with a toddler.
I've seen the video, it's crazy.
So I'm like, that's not happening. No, my watch. You know what I mean? So I kind of intervened, and the attention just went on me. And I tried to get details and stuff, and I'm just hitting them with, I've got the right to remain silent, all this stuff. And they hit me with statute and all that. I'm like, look, statute doesn't supersede the right. You know what I mean? Above any statute. You know what I mean? And this just went on for a while, and they eventually arrested me. There was a sergeant there, an actual sergeant. These were big fucking policemen. Had fucking a woman and toddler in the corner, you know what I mean? Anyway, they ended up, they weren't getting past me, but they ended up arresting me because they weren't getting past me, right? This was Halloween, right? And I basically, they took me to the police station and stuff, and I'm just hitting the police with like everything that's happening, and like they were bamboozled just with the stuff that I was coming out with. And I'm sitting in the back of the police van, right at the police station, and there's two policemen, a policewoman and a policeman at the door, like waiting to get me in. And I'm sitting on the back of the police van for ages, like, and I'm ended up talking to these guys. I'm like, look, there's no crime. What have I done wrong? Why are you arresting me? I've not done anything wrong. There's no victim. Like, what's going on here? I kept on saying that. Where's the crime? What have I done wrong? Right? I need to think exactly what it was that the guy said to me. It just bamboozled me. The guy, that's what it was. He replied with, "This is a police-generated crime."
Right, okay.
This is a police-generated crime, right? And I've just looked at him and I'm like, go and say that again. Say that again. It's a police-generated crime. And I was like, is it? And he's like, aye. I said, well, that means you're the fucking criminal. Right? Like, what the fuck's going on here?
Well, they revealed their hand, didn't they?
Anyway, they ended up locking me up and all this stuff, right? I ended up going to court, right? It was like up court like a year later or whatever, right? So I walked into the court, like presented myself, because you can't represent yourself, you present yourself. You can represent the fucking name, you know what I mean? So I presented myself in the court and pleading diet and all this stuff, right? So I refused to plead, right? Because like I've not done fuck all wrong, I'm making no plea. They get money for a plea. It's all like a money game, eh? So I'm refusing to make a plea. I've not even had disclosure for like what they've got and stuff, eh? I'm not pleading. They try to, like, he plead for me. Like, he made the plea for me.
That was nice of him.
And I'm like, well, what are you not guilty of then? He who makes the plea is like the one who's guilty or not guilty. He didn't like that, eh? And I'm like, look, I'm not accepting the plea. I'm like, and there was actually that week, there was something happening. It was Muirhouse or Pilton. There was like some monster had done something bad, murdered like a kid, right? And these people, right, they get fucking remanded when they plea. You know what I mean? And I mentioned that to him. I'm like, look, you're letting fucking murderers and all that no plea and sending them to jail, but you're stamping it onto me. You know what I mean? But anyway, like, he still made the plea on my behalf, allegedly, right? And I'm back up court for the trial, right? Right. So I'm back up for the trial. So as Nala told me, and I say, he's like, when you go into the court, you just like put a big bubble, an imaginary bubble in yourself, right? And like, oh, like nothing's coming in. You know what I mean? Just big trophy, eh? So I've walked in there with this big imaginary bubble in me.
I've done NLP, and that was part of the training before going on stage and stuff.
Right. So like I've done that, right? I went in this big bubble, imaginary bubble, right? And then the sheriffs like started talking to the PF, like about the legislation that they charged me on, right? The COVID, they tried to get me on this COVID legislation. Right?
The guidelines.
No, this was actually legislation, no guidelines. Legislation, eh? And basically, I got arrested on Halloween, right? And it was the sheriff that pointed it out, and they gave the PF a fucking hammering for it, eh? He said, this legislation wasn't in force until the 2nd of November. And like, I was arrested on the 31st of October, you know what I mean? So if you're keen fucking Police Scotland, or you fucking get this stuff fucking nailed, eh? And that was, then he says to me, he was like, I advise you go and get some legal advice to, like, always ask you to get legal advice, go to a lawyer, right? That's the thing, eh? They didn't like talking to a man, right? They'd rather have a lawyer, right?
Because I learned that.
What they didn't like, right, is they didn't like, they know the common man will stand his ground. Whereas a lawyer will be nice and courteous and all that.
Exactly.
Stand his ground, right? And I've seen it many fucking times.
Well, I should have talked to you before my whole COVID case then, because I had to get a barrister involved and it was a fucking shit show from start to finish. Well, that guy helped me to the best of his ability, but
the thing with lawyers, right, is like the first protocol, right, is the bar. That's a lawyer's first protocol, is the bar, right? The second protocol, right, is to make sure that there's no disrepute within the court, right? Third protocol is you, right? So who's he working for?
Regardless of how much he likes you, really, he's got those duties,
And honestly, like these, like people in the courts, right? They shit themselves literally through the comment. They get a fright. Like these people, like they might have no empathy, no feelings, all that stuff. They still shit a brick, mate.
Aye.
Still shit a brick. That's what we need to do. We need to wake up and smell the shit.
We need to do that, and then basically there will be cases come up. So let's back each other and teach people before they go into these cases, see the evidence of it working, and build the numbers. So we could, I mean, we could do it tomorrow if we got masses on the streets immediately without having to build the communities, you know. So it's there immediately, but until then, do what we can, basically.
I recommend you all listen to the Christine Graham speech time and time again. Listen to it at least once, twice a day, because the more you listen to it, the more information pops out of you. And I've listened to it thousands and thousands of times. And each time I listen to it, it paints a different picture in my head.
You think about consciousness, so you think about the news, but you think about the news and why they repeat the same bullshit all the time to fucking make it part of you. If you listen to that, it almost becomes you, you know what I mean?
So that speech is almost like Pink Floyd The Wall. See, when you watch the movie, have you ever watched the movie Pink Floyd The Wall, the actual movie?
Of course.
Each time you watch it, there's something new coming. You see something you never saw before. You know what I mean? There's that much detail and all that stuff in it. It's the same with that Christine Graham speech. You can't take it all in the one listen. And Christine Graham, come on, you've got a duty of care of the people of Scotland to tell us more.
Yeah, I like that call out. That's a good one. Shall we watch the end of this video?
Well, that's it. I put the end of the video and that's us. And
I was going to play my poem if that's all right, but
you can do your poem, man. It's your show, Billy. But I'd just like to thank everybody for tuning in. This means a lot to me. I've been trying so hard to get on a podcast for so long. Now that I've done that, before I even done this one, the requests are coming in, and I know as soon as this drops, like the requests are going to be coming in. And I've heard that Crofts coming on, Billy.
Right, cool.
Great, and I'm going to get Croft. He's going to come on to a podcast with me, and we need to get all this information out there. More people need to start coming out and voicing this information. Any other sovereigns that are out there that have no connected with and we've lost contact, get back in touch, guys. We need to. There's a job to be done.
Yep. And I was going to say something there, but lost it. So anyway, play this video. Yep. Here we go. Oh, hold on.
It'll come, Billy. It'll come.
and the power they took from the people will return to the people. And so long as men die, liberty will never perish. Don't give yourselves to these unnatural men. Machine men, with machine minds and machine hearts. You are not machines, you are not cattle, you are men. You, the people, have the power to make this life free and beautiful, to make this life a wonderful adventure. Let us use it.
Something just came to mind as I was watching that, right? About energy in Scotland. Cotton Hill's a volcanic hub, and so is Edinburgh Castle's built on a volcanic hub. There's an energy field leaving Cotton Hill like spokes of a bicycle wheel. Same Edinburgh Castle, right? So you imagine a king sitting in that castle, right? With that energy field leaving the castle like spokes of a bicycle wheel, right? He's got a crown on his head, right? With gemstones round the crown, fucking diamonds, rubies, all that stuff. They're doing proper ceremonial fucking shit. You know what I mean? Like there's an energy within these places, eh? And there's an energy in Scotland, right? And there's an energy in the people of Scotland. And they may have felt that energy in the people of Scotland, right? Was Tea in the Park. I don't know if you ever done Tea in the Park, right? But seeing it in its prime.
Well, I was back. I've seen Oasis, Pulp, fucking
well,
The Verve all in one night.
like you'll see like the 90s to the early 90s.
94.
Right? Tea in the Park in its prime, nothing could touch it, man. Honestly, I've done all the festivals, from Isle of Wight, Glastonbury, all the way up. Nothing touches the atmosphere.
Well, Oasis still saying the tent was their best gig ever, the King Tut's tent.
Loads of people say aye, like, but like, so Tea in the Park, right, the best energy was in the campsite. There wasn't even any bands, any music. What would happen in the campsite, right? Anybody that's been in a Tea in the Park campsite will know this, right? Maybe like 1, 2 in the morning, right? You're in a valley, right? Campsite's a big valley in like Fife, right? And you would hear a roar away up the valley, like a roar, right? It'd be like a Mexican wave, but in a roar, right? And you would hear that roar travel through the campsite, right? And you would wait until it got to you. And once that roar got to your campsite, everybody in your campsite stood up and went, woo! And then the roar just went all the way around.
I must have been past it.
Anything like that in my life. Anything. See when that energy wave like hits your campsite, you're sitting waiting on it. Like, nobody in your campsite's making a noise, you're waiting on it. And as soon as it lands, and like everybody's whoa, and it's fucking amazing, mate.
That's crazy.
And I mean, that's like you can't stop energy, mate.
Well, I watched a video on Iconic recently about David Icke talking about the ley lines, the dragon line, and basically at the end of it talks about how people are going on these ley lines and meditating unconditional love into them. That could be a solution as well.
Talk about David Icke, right, and going on about the ley lines. Where does he live?
The Isle of Wight, yeah.
That's
where it comes in.
The Spine Albion starts is on the Isle of Wight, right?
That's where it starts with
What
video.
do you know what he lives next to?
You can't,
he lives next to a lighthouse.
Aye.
What's he amplifying? What's
Right.
he generating? Like, know what I'm talking about?
That's a good point. Maybe that's why he moved there, because he grew up in Leicester, aye.
Well, I don't know why he moved there, but it's quite...
Maybe just intuition, whatever.
the bottom of the Spine Albion.
Aye.
But it's another show. Get into Stephen Beattie's page. Shout out to Stephen Beattie. He's like big on the ley lines and the Spiny Albion. And there's a book by what's his name? I'm going to forget his name now, because there's that many books on my mind. The Spiny Albion book. Combs Beaumont, I think it is. Combs Beaumont, aye. On the Spiny Albion. You need to read that book. And there's another guy called Dave Cowan. Put him into YouTube. He's a Scotsman. He's in Perthshire. He's about 80-year-old, and he's travelled the ley lines with dowsing rods, and he's got so much information. It was his video that I found out about the energy field, like the spokes of a bicycle wheel, leaving Cotton Hill and Edinburgh Castle and Stirling Castle and all these other castles that are on volcanic hubs. The beautiful thing about Edinburgh, right, is Edinburgh's got 3 extinct volcanoes in it. So like Edinburgh's trapped in, like Holyrood Park is in a volcanic hub because it's got a volcano on each side of it. And there's a ley line that comes into Holyrood Park. It's called the Dragon Line. And it's the most powerful ley line that there is, because every ley line globally connects with Holyrood. And these ley lines, right, there's certain power points on the ley lines, like the churches, the cathedrals, the castles, all that stuff they put on these power points. And these power points are on certain times of the year. These power points are linked up with the constellations, just like the pyramids of Giza. And as above, so below. So it's like, see, when I found that out, and you start looking at it, and you're like, what is happening here? It's like the energy is just like, it's amazing when you tune into it. But the ley lines is fascinating stuff.
Yeah,
but Stephen Beattie's page, and his page has got videos and loads of information and sources that you can go to find out more information. The ley lines are pretty important. It's we need to harness them somehow. We need to harness that energy and use it for the greater good.
Yep, I totally agree.
They've harnessed it and they're using it against us.
Yep, I mean, in all these churches, they'll do black magic, and those places put negative energy into them. So we need to remove them and start putting positive energy into them.
Well, no. See, I reckon, like the churches, I reckon there was something before there were churches.
Exactly. That's why they're all geometrically perfect in that. And somebody done an amazing experiment. They recorded the empty sound of all these different cathedrals and just amplified it up so much, and then somehow they got a geometric pattern of it by vibrating plates or whatever, and each one matched the window in the cathedral, the geographical resonance of the sound.
The healing centres, I reckon they were built as healing centres, because when you walk into these places, you feel that energy.
What's the organs for? The big organs.
Exactly,
Sound
but
healing.
as you walk in, and the way the building's built, and the geometric patterns and stuff, and when you go in, you actually feel like you're being healed. So it's like the church has sort of tapped into that and turned it into, like, you think they're connected to something else.
Exactly. Good point.
But I reckon there were healing centres for they were using sound and all that to heal people, to heal illnesses and stuff like that.
Yep, totally. Because the pharmaceutical industry isn't the answer.
Not at all. Not. But talking about healing, right? I want to show you something, right? This is pyrite, right? It's also known as fool's gold, right? I reckon it's probably one of the most powerful healing minerals that there is. This stuff, right, cures panic attacks. Like seriously,
Could have done with that before the show when you sent me 5 videos with 10 minutes to go.
Cures panic attacks. I've never had panic attacks, but I had this situation within my family that made me have panic attacks. Right? I've had a couple of panic attacks, and it's fucking horrible things. If you've had one, you'll know what I'm on about.
I see my girlfriend have one.
Right, well, get a bit of pyrite, mate, right? Because what I've done is it's always nearby, right? This is always nearby. I picked up mid-panic attack, right? I picked it up, right? And I held it in my hand, and I took a deep breath. And see, as I exhaled, like as soon as I exhaled, the panic released. I exhaled, right? And I took another breath, and I was gone within the second and I literally eliminated the panic, evaporated the panic.
So it's fool's gold indeed. You're a fool for panicking.
Look at the benefits of pyrite and fool's gold. Google it, right? That stuff should be handed out on prescription, mate.
Love spreads around.
Seriously, that should be handed out on prescription, and everybody should be getting healed for it.
Yep, totally agree with these kind of things. You know, there's energy. I've done a shamanic healing courses and releasing suppressed emotions, holding the body points and stuff like that. A 2-week course, and it's amazing the amount of crap that you've got stored inside of you. Until you go through something like that, you release all this anger and stuff that you don't know you're even carrying, because society just makes you suppress all these emotions. You know, a child lets them out, but as you grow older, teachers and policemen and authority. But anyway, it was an interesting thing to do.
See, what I'm also thinking about doing with the sound system is I'm thinking about doing like a inner child thing, right? And try to get people to connect with their inner child. So
it's my Knob Stewart.
People can connect with me, and they can pick 2 songs, right? Pick 2 songs that you listened to as a kid, right? And we'll play it through the sound system. You can dance to it, or you can just sit down.
Brown girl in the rain, tra la 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 la.
But basically, right, so you listen to 2 songs that you listened to when you were a kid and connect with your inner child, right? Connect with who you were before they programmed you into what they wanted you to be, right? I want to try and do that. It was a meme that came up on Facebook.
That's a good one.
I thought that's a great idea. So if anybody likes that and wants to join in on that, get in touch and we'll do that, and we'll start connecting with the inner child, who you were before they programmed you and fucked you up to who you became today.
Inner child karaoke, let's make it happen.
I seen the meme and I thought that's a great idea.
Speaking of karaoke, oh sorry, carry on.
No, it's like I've got so many ideas.
Just time is getting on. I just thought, speaking of karaoke, well, stick my video on.
Go for it.
Basically, as I said, I was listening to Katie Gaia, so it's got some legal name stuff that, again, I might not be exactly on park with now, but you'll get the essence of what I'm saying. Right. This is like 2 days before everyone's getting behind independence, and I turned up and gave them this. Let me just find it. Let me find the thing first. Shit, I thought I had it here. Oh, I have to search for it now. I don't. You can talk in the meantime.
I didn't think of anything more to say.
No, you've got all these ideas. We've done. Here, I've got it anyway. Here we go.
Apparently the people of Scotland have a choice. Don't make me fucking laugh. The choice between 2 prison cells is really pretty naff. To me, it's just another version of the Hegelian dialectic. Labour, Tory, the Union or independence. It's all just part of political rhetoric. We the people have no say in how the so-called country is run. We are the feudal serfs of their system, or are you going to work for fun? Countries themselves aren't even real. They exist purely on paper. They are fictional entities, corporations, and we are willing pawns of the caper. Whose cock do you want up your ass? Is the illusion of choice on offer? Our taxes will still go to Rome, via the crown to stock their coffer. When are we all going to wake up and realise it's all just a game, one we have been bamboozled in our quest for wealth and fame? Do you really think we have a say in what laws the lawmakers pass? Democracy is just a useful word that blinds us from police tear gas. For the policy enforcers are there to protect the criminal insane, not the people. We get what we deserve, being subservient, soulless sheeple. Our parents are complicit in the fraud, submitting our souls to be claimed at birth. For when they register us with the crown, they forfeit our rights on this earth. Because a bonded slave is then created, we go to work to pay their rent, not forgetting to act in accordance with every oppressive statute from Parliament. We don't realise that we are not the name. We are men and women, don't you know? The wolves have pulled the wool over our eyes, so we think we have to be part of their show. Schooling schooled us in the art of obedience, to answer daily to the legal main fiction. As long as we are good boys and girls, the bullies won't dish out too much friction. Don't dream of following your passion, or even dare to think for yourself. There are many examples in history of how that is not good for your health. That is why we are all so scared to even once speak out of turn. So out of concern we police each other, and if we have to, our neighbours will spurn. The history books are written by the winners, so why on earth do we trust them? Are we so weak we have to accept their lies in order to fit into their scarcity system? We fight over the scraps from their table. Like hungry dogs, we are thankful for that. Yet we are the ones who wag their tail when they act like a superior big cat. Yet we don't even own our own bodies. A jail sentence awaits plant users. But with what they are doing to the planet, they are Mother Nature's abusers. The climate is apparently changing, and for that we the people must pay. When everyone goes smart, common sense will have had its day. They are sick, but they don't stop there, for many rape and torture kids. It is part of their satanic practices to do exactly what morality forbids. And we think we are so cool and clever now that we've legalised gay marriage. What is next on their disturbing agenda? How far will they go before you disparage? Call me old-fashioned, but I believe consenting adults of any sexual persuasion don't need to beg for a licence, so the state can further its indecent invasion. Now we have a referendum. Apparently the decision will be historic, but every time we go into a booth, all we are doing is making them euphoric. So I for one will not be voting either way. I refuse to give away any of my power. If you don't want to aid and abet corruption, I suggest you too walk away from that shower. Let them keep their bullshit fiat currency, which is only good for wiping your arse. It holds no inherent real value, like everything else is a total farce. We should educate ourselves properly and claim back our divine proportion. That way whatever we earn through our labour cannot be withdrawn by legal extortion. The only things that should be governed is our own mind, body and soul. When we take responsibility for them, the facade will collapse back up its own asshole. I really don't think we have any other option unless you are happy being less than you are. We can find happiness and joy in each other, for each one of us is a bright shining star. We are capable of far more than we show. All that is required is the will for real change. We need to take our heads out of the sand so we can start to see what we can rearrange. For government is just a modern form of religion, one that I pray has had its day. So let's all stand united for freedom and let our righteous, brave heart spirit lead the way. Thank you.
Muted applause.
Right, see, before we go, can you end it with back to Dr. Rima? Just that wee promo for people, and everybody get on people for people, please. There's a job to be done. The solution is within people for people. The solution is within you. We need to come together. There's a job to be done.
Can I just say at this point as well, when I heard that, you know, I've been on this thing for 25 years trying to wake people up. For the past 3 years, I've interviewed so many people. It's ridiculous. I've done 300 shooting the shit live shows, and I've tried to get a website going to get support, and I can't get any. And now I'm starting a
He's
job.
got some support as well, guys. He's putting a bit of effort in. He's putting a bit of effort in. He's putting a lot of effort in. YouTube took away all his content.
Vimeo basically removed everything I had, and
it's kind of destroyed his network. But again, this is where we need to be, people. We need to be creating our own platforms, not on social media. We need to create our own social media, and it's right here on Billy Watson TV and People for People. Show your support for people that are actually doing something for the people. And that's what we need. That's where we need to be. Stop chasing government. Stop shouting at government. Government's not your pal. Government's not going to help you at all. You need to be supporting the people. You need to be educating the people. You need to be doing something for people. peopleforpeople.9.com. Billy Watson TV.
basically, I've started a job today, and I'm going to have to work in a factory 7 till 5 days a week. I cannot interview the people I'm interviewing because I'm exhausted doing it when I'm not working. And you can, if I was getting people support, I put that time and energy into helping folk, and I've done. You know what I mean? I don't understand why people are not supporting me. Like everyone else gets all these followers and stuff. It's ridiculous what I've done. And anyway, that's my gripe of the way. You know, we need to help each other. You know what I mean?
Come on, and tune into the platform as well. We need to be creating more platforms like this. Social media is like Dr. Rima. We're going to end with Dr. Rima, right? But I mean, anything Dr. Rima says isn't going on social media. You're not anything that's on People for People. You're not going to get on social media. I shared one of the podcasts in an inbox on Facebook, right, to a couple of people. The Dr. Rima podcast for last Tuesday, where she's talking about all the Ecuador stuff, just in an inbox, right? And once I started clicking on the link in the inbox, it's all Facebook can't let you get this link. It didn't want you to see it. You know what I mean? So you're not getting this content anywhere. You're not getting it on Twitter. You're not getting it on Instagram, or Facebook.
I'm shadow banned everywhere. That's what I'm trying to do on my website, and nobody's going there. It's the quality of the guests I'm getting, you know what I mean? And on there as well, you know.
Probably stuff on Billy Watson TV is probably going to get taken off of Facebook as well. But I'll stay on Billy Watson TV. You know what I mean? But this will probably get taken off Facebook.
I will say thank you to Facebook for letting your videos play tonight, because normally any form of copyrighted content gets struck down, so that was quite good.
The funny thing about Facebook, right? My Facebook account, I've never been banned. I'm not even banned to Facebook. And that was the same Facebook account that opened up the Scottish Sovereigns group page and stuff. I've never been banned on Facebook. And I reckon that's because of the community that I've created on Facebook. There's no grasses on my Facebook. You know what I mean? And that's what it's people that report you. And it's see when you're arguing in groups, you're arguing in these groups with other people that you didn't know. And that's when you're getting blocked. Because like you're arguing with people you didn't want, you didn't know, and they're just fucking reporting. You know what I mean? I reckon that's why I've not been blocked. I was in all these independence platforms back in the day trying to spread the information, and some of the nonsense I was getting back.
Yeah, that's why we have to build a strong community up for people actually educating each other in the truth and not speaking bullshit. You know, all these meetings and that was doing my head in.
What Murray and Richie are starting to do, they're trying to pull people together to educate the people on the common law, educate the people on their right.
I will say a wee shout out to Murray tonight. He couldn't tune in because his dad's in hospital again with some heart pains.
Okay. I'm sure he'll refresh on that in his own leisure.
He told me to send him a link, but I couldn't do it. But sorry to hear that, Murray. Right, do you want me to play this video?
Aye, if you just end it on Dr. Rima, just to give a wee more promo for People, and listen to what she's saying. It's the only platform she's gone on, because it's the only platform she won't be censored. That's me for the night, guys. I think it's run a bit pretty far.
That's all right.
3 hours on it. It's got to stop people maybe want to listen to it when they click on it later on.
Possibly, but I think if they start watching it, I think they'll be transfixed. So I think it's good content.
Show me some support as well, guys. Change your profile page to the logo.
Yep.
Get that logo on fridges, get it on bumpers, get it on lampposts, get it everywhere in Scotland. No one attacks me with impunity. That sounds pretty good. In Scotland.
Yep. Here's a vid. Oh shit, hold on. I've not got it there. I have to look for it elsewhere.
I might even change it to no one attacks us with impunity. Because we're a team.
Yep. Oh shit. I have to find that video. Hold on there.
It's not a video, it's just an audio.
I had to turn it into a video and do all kinds of video magic before coming on. You've no idea. Anyway.
Right, peace out, guys. Keep shining. Stay sovereign.
Are you off, Bri? Catch you later.
That's me, aye.
Right, cheers, pal. Catch you later, dude.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
I am Rima Ilebo, MD. I am the medical director of the Natural Solutions Foundation. My co-host, Ralph Fusatola, is a retired attorney who is also a trustee of the Natural Solutions Foundation.
People for People is an extraordinary organization that allows uncensored podcasts around the world, and it is an international phenomenon. The greatest group of people you'll want to follow.
I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that a little bit, because peopleforpeople.ning.com is not just a platform. There are real people who have said, we need an uncensored platform with high quality information where people can say what needs to be said without fear of censorship, without fear of retribution, without fear of criticism because they hold unpopular or minority views, or popular and majority views. We will spend our time, we will spend our energy, we will spend the time that we might be spending with our families or our hobbies or our jobs, and we will make sacrifices at the personal level to provide something that spans the earth without being oppressive. One way of supporting this platform is financially. Oh, for God's sakes, everybody needs the money to run their internet, to keep the lights on, to do all these basic functions, and they're not getting it. You need to be connected here. You need to understand that this is from people, for people, to people. That's why it's called People for People. That's not a joke. And you need to say, how much is my information flow worth to me? Whatever it is that is worth to you, click the donate button. People, F-O-R, people.ning.com. Very simple. Then take the link, peopleforpeople.ning.com, and share it. Tell the people that you reach on social media and via email, this is important. There are views and data flows here that are vitally important to us as free human beings. You don't want to listen to our show? You don't have to listen to our show. Listen to any one of the people who are here, or all of them, or some of them. But get involved. We are fighting for our survival, and peopleforpeople.ning.com are warriors in that fight. We need our connection with other human beings, and we need our connection with the information and the passion and the energetic connection that we have and that we create for other people. Point is, this is your responsibility. We're giving you freedom and truth, and we're asking you to participate in keeping that alive for you and for the rest of the world. peopleforpeople.ning.com. You need to donate, you need to share the link, and you need to share the programs.
So yeah, folks, that was an excellent show there. I really enjoyed that chat with Bri. I hope you did too. Thanks very much for tuning in. Yeah, you can donate to me if you want. donorbox.org/Billy-Watson-TV. Remember, peopleforpeople.ning.com, and spread the word. And basically, let's get those communities rocking. Make shit happen. Thanks for watching. Cheers and now. Catch us later. Hold on now. I'll play something fancy to finish. Cheers.